What's up, Texans fans? Y'all excited now? Hey, I'm allowed to say y'all. I got a bunch of family from Virginia. They say y'all all the time. All right. I also got a brother-in-law that's in Texas. He doesn't say it because, we all grew up in Michigan. Hey, the Texans news just keeps getting better after their first round victory against the Chargers. I think a lot of fans kind of thought this team was heading in the wrong direction this year, but here they are, back to the same point that they were the year before, even with injuries and even with some of the holes that this team has. They are back into the divisional round, and now they're a team that has more experience. Can't wait to see what this looks like. Could this be a matchup against the Chiefs? We don't know. We can't wait to find out. We'll see what happens next. Chiefs-Bills is the most likely chances for you. I mean, actually, it's probably the only chances. Right now, as I film this, the Bills are currently beating up on the Broncos, so we'll see. Hey, if you are new to this channel, we love teams that are not talked about by the national media as much as they should be. We are Lions fans. We don't hide that. We have another channel, Sports Talk Detroit, but we have been covering the Texans for a long time because we thought, man, this could be a fun team to cover, and also talk about teams that have fan bases that are just like starving for good content on your team. So we try and give you a non-biased view of what's going on in your team from on the other side, right? We're all the way up in Michigan. So let's talk about why this victory is even better than you originally thought. All right, look, this is a team that was going in the wrong direction, but this was a win that embodied the head coach's philosophy. DeMeco Ryans is a hard-nosed guy. He is a guy who wants to win by playing good defense. He wants to stop the run. He wants to run. Like, these are the things that he wants to do. He wants to sometimes play what some people would call ugly football, but it's so beautiful, isn't it? When your team gets 4 sacks, when your team gets 4 interceptions, when the good players are playing hard. So we're going to talk about a few things here that is just, I was blown away. If you remember, if you haven't seen it yet, right, I did a video probably 3 days ago, 2-3 days ago, on why I thought the Texans were actually going to win this game. We had another channel that was devoted to the Chargers. Just Chris is doing that now. But I thought the Texans were going to win this game, and it was really simple. I felt like these teams were the same team, just one had more experience in the playoffs. That's what it was. And weird things happen in the playoffs, and that's what happened in this game. Weird things. A guy who has thrown, 3-4 interceptions all year, and Justin Herbert threw 4 today. I count at least 3 of them, right? When you are throwing interceptions in desperation time, I don't know how much it counts, but it's still there. All right, so that's number one, is you embodied your coach. You won with defense. This is a defense that is thrilled, and not just thrilled, but confident, and they know what's going on. Hey, are you happy to have Azeez Al-Shaair back by any chance? This is game 2 back, I think it is, off of that 3-game suspension. What a difference does that guy make? All right. Number 2, there is a weapon that I don't think many people think of the Texans having until it's playoff time, and that is a dual threat C.J. Stroud. When we look into the box score a little bit, these are your attempts, right? Joe Mixon did fine, right? 25 carries, 106 yards, 4.2 yard average. By the way, that final drive to seal it, really, really impressive. C.J. Stroud ran for a couple of huge first downs. And I think what people forget often is that C.J. Stroud is not slow. He absolutely has the ability to run, but he is a guy who is pass first, pass second, pass third. But when you get into the playoffs, and it is no longer this idea of who can last the longest through the regular season, and it becomes a we must win now, all of a sudden his legs become a weapon. And I think, and they're always a weapon. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is this. Sometimes during the regular season, you're going to hold back from running as much because you have a 17-game season. Where when it's in the playoffs, you have to give it a go. You have to do everything within you in order to try and win that football game, and that's exactly what C.J. Stroud's doing. Here's the funny part. Teams who have been game planning for the Texans, they're not game planning for that. He's not a guy who runs the ball 10 times a game. He's never been that. He wasn't that in college. We always knew he was a mobile quarterback. We knew he was a dual threat quarterback, but he was always a throw first, throw second, throw third, run fourth type of dual threat quarterback. So in the playoffs, it does something completely different. All right, here's the next thing that's kind of exciting about this game. It wasn't pretty, and that's perfect. It wasn't pretty. They didn't play their best. C.J. Stroud didn't have a bad game, but he didn't have a good game. The offensive line still allowed him to get sacked 3 times, right? They ran the ball efficiently, and that's a big deal. That's really, really important. But also some of their deficiencies were there. Outside of Nico Collins, nobody stepped up. Mechie had a couple drops, even though he finds a way to get open. So if he can just start catching the ball, we'll be just fine, right? All of these things happen. How about other things like this? All right, 1 interception by Stroud, a fumble by Mechie, and a fumble by Mixon. Everybody talks about this game, about how, the Texans won the turnover battle, so that's why they won. False narrative. False narrative. Yes, you did, right? Like, I understand you won the turnover battle because Herbert threw 4 picks, so you won the turnover battle 4-3. But at the time you were up 32-12, it was 3-3. The difference was that your defense didn't allow the Chargers to capitalize on those turnovers, while the Chargers defense couldn't stop you from capitalizing, or your defense just straight pick sixed it. All right. So those, I think, are some of the things that we need to talk about, and we need to have a conversation about. Like, it wasn't pretty, and that is okay. That's a good thing. All right, now, other unique things. This is kind of funny. Saw this article. Houston Texans quarterback C.J. Stroud makes shocking franchise history. What is this shocking franchise history? Well, this is kind of intriguing. He becomes the winningest quarterback in Texans history in the playoffs. Winningest playoff quarterback. Now, I'm not checking this right now. I don't have that, but I still think it was kind of crazy that they did that. All right, so that's pretty interesting. All right, just with the win. All right, 2 wins. Look, your franchise hasn't been around that long. It's okay. All right, I do want to take a second to think about a couple of other things, though. C.J. Stroud, as you can see here, right? You're playing the Chargers. I got Jim Harbaugh right there. I'm a Michigan fan. I got Nico Collins right there. I'm still a Michigan fan. Got Hutchinson, Lions, Michigan fan, right? Here's what C.J. Stroud hasn't done before. He hasn't beat Jim Harbaugh until yesterday. All right, so congratulations to him on that victory and getting Jim Harbaugh a victory over him for the first time in his illustrious career. And I believe that is the first time he has beat Harbaugh. I think he was 0-2 against him. So I did think that was pretty funny. But anyways, these are the little things that we talk about, and we got to like it. Look, the Texans are realizing, like, we have a phenomenal defense. Will Anderson Jr. was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, just a man on a mission, just playing phenomenal football. I was absolutely shocked by it. I really, really was. He came away with 1.5 sacks, but you have these guys like Autry getting in there. Great signing in the offseason. Mario Edwards Jr. had 1.5 sacks. Will Anderson had 1.5 sacks. Like, I was talking beforehand how one of the big matchups would be their offensive tackles versus your defensive ends. And Will Anderson Jr. has now shown that, like, this is a coming out season, but a coming out party in the playoffs, that, like, hey, he's here. He's going to be one of the best defensive edges in the NFL. Get used to it. And that will completely transform what this defense can do. When you have the 3 components that they now have, which is a lockdown corner with elite pass rusher, and then I like to throw a third in there, which is a good middle linebacker to call and run the defense, you have the ability to have a phenomenal defense, period. And if you look at the stats and look at the numbers, the Chargers were setting records for lowest number of points allowed per game, franchise records. The Texans allowed the same amount of yards. They allowed the same amount of not points, but the same amount of yards and all that kind of stuff. Forced more turnovers. This is a defense that's going to be scary. And when we get the offensive line figured out, when you get the offensive line figured out, oh my goodness. But for right now, it's the playoffs. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. All right. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Really hope you enjoyed it. For more content, hit that subscribe button. See you on the next one.